everybody, Grand Rising. How are you doing this AM? Today I'm going to do a movie review on a movie called Beast of the Southern Wild. And I do apologize the way I sound stuffy. My allergies are acting up today. Oops, excuse me, gotta let it out. Alrighty. So this movie came out in 2012. I watched it on Amazon Prime, and you're starring Dwight Henry and Quinn's Hand Wallace. I don't think I'm even saying this girl's name right. I do apologize. So let's get started. I'm going to read the summary from supersummary.com, and then I will give you my intake. An adaptation of Lucy Albar's one-act Juicy and Delicious, Beast of the Southern Wild 2012, a fascinating drama film written and directed by Ben Zealand and co-adapted with Albar, premiered at the Cannes and Travel City Film Festival, set in the distant but happy and connected community in Louisiana Bayou. It depicts an account of climate change at a time in the future, following the 6-year-old protagonist Hush Puppy as she searches for her parents. The film results in many nominations and awards, including Academy Award nomination for Miss Wallace, the 9-year-old actress who played Hush Puppy, and the youngest even nominated for the Best Actress Award. The film begins as a storm approaches the bathtub, an insular bayou community in southern Louisiana that is separate from the mainland by a large levee. Hush Puppy lives with her sick and hot-headed father Wink, who is nevertheless very protective and loving. They're optimistic about the future even after hearing about the looming storm. At school, the community children receive a lesson from Miss Bathsheba about the release of the Oroch, prehistoric tusk beast from the Earth's quickly melting ice caps. When Hush Puppy returns home, she notices her father is missing after calling him several times to no avail. He finally arrives wearing a hospital gown and identification bracelet. They leave the house and argue in the bayou about his disappearance. Hush Puppy being unable to understand her father's sickness. Wink views Hush Puppy as annoying. Hush Puppy storms home alone. She turns on the gas-burning stove, initially setting fire to the ramshackled house. She hides in a cardboard box as the fire blazes around her, escaping just before she is harmed. Outside, her father chases her. He catches her and slaps her in the face. She responds by hitting him in the chest and saying that she hopes he will die. He falls over, suffers an unknown medical problem. Realizing that she has misused her power, she runs further from the fire. When she returns, Wink is gone. Next, the film briefly cuts to a scene in the Arctic, portraying the frozen animal floating in the ocean after detaching from a large ice shelf. The storm gets closer and the residents of the bathtub begin to flee. Wink appears again on the side of the road, hobbling weakly. He locates Hush Puppy and brings her to a house where he intends to barricade them inside to protect against the storm. Noticing that Hush Puppy is afraid and saddened for the future of her home, he fires a gun at the sky as if it inflicts pain on the storm. They survive the storm, spending the following morning looking through the town for useful debris and survival. When the storm fully subsides, the bathtub community celebrates and immediately starts rebuilding their society. However, their situation is permanently damaged by a surge of salt water from the ocean, which has leaked into the freshwater system. Wink decides to solve the problem by destroying the levee to drain away the water. He recruits a small group but dynamic at a junction in the levee wall and blows it apart. They succeed with the help of an alligator gar. Immediately the salt water reduces. The police arrive, seeing the state of the community, instates a forced evacuation, relocating them to an emergency shelter further inland on the Louisiana mainland. Wink finally receives surgical treatment for his illness, but it fails, leaving him worse off. Most of the evacuees' bathtub residents escape the shelter and return home. Afraid to lose her father and be left orphaned, Hush Puppy looks for her mother, who disappeared years ago. She swims to a makeshift boat and embarks her friend to a floating bar called the Elysian Fields. There she meets a chief whom she associates with her memory of her mother. When the woman doesn't recognize her, Hush Puppy insists that it is her. She offers for Hush Puppy to stay with her, but Hush Puppy declines, returning to her father instead. On their way back to the bathtub, Hush Puppy and her friends run into a wild animal. Hush Puppy stands up to them and they leave to walk away unharmed. At home, Hush Puppy finds Wink on the deathbed and says farewell. After hearing his heart beat one final time, she constructs a funeral and sets a funeral and sets it on fire. The remaining residents of the bathtub join her in observing its burn. So whenever you create a contraption that's like a boat or a layer of something and you set it on fire, that's a Viking funeral. Beasts of the Southern Wild is a film about a struggle of innocent in childhood to cope with disaster and disfranchising community to make sense of the forced system outside of their control. It frames its allegory with important contemporary discourses about climate change, poverty, and injustice, ultimately exploring the excuse me. Lord have mercy. Excuse me. Ooh. Jeez. And injustice, ultimately extolling the virtue of community building and compassion. Now, I really enjoyed this film. I happened to scroll on Amazon Prime the video and look through Black voices. I feel like we have to support more Black filmmakers and different movies, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, as a people, we complain about we're mad at work or we don't have enough money. Those people in the movie lived beyond the poverty. We worried about cell phones. They didn't have cell phones. Most of their homes were in the open. Nobody had a car. We worry about the most dumbest things, but there's actually people who live off the grid and enjoy being at peace with nature. They have spots like this in different states. I know for sure Chicago has a place where there's no electricity. It's very rural. But we have to take into consideration right now, if it rained in the state I live in, I know when it rains that I'm protected from the water from outside. So watching that movie definitely made me appreciate my loved ones more, made me realize that everything's going to be okay. And at the end of the day, I'll be okay. Like, as I'm learning not to stress about things that I can't control and being happy that I have the basic necessities: food, shelter, water, lights, heat, different things like that. And I really give this movie 5 stars. In the description, I will leave a link to the trailer to the movie. Thank you all so much. Have a nice day.